Welcome once again to Commander by Danon. We are back on our series looking at cards from Dominaria United. We're almost done with this series, as I did have some ideas for the Warhammer 40k set, and I wanted to be prepared for Infinity. Today we'll be looking at building a budget deck around Bladewing Deathless Tyrant. Before we get started, I'd like to quickly ask you to like and subscribe. I've been very happy with the growth this channel has had so far, and I'm excited to see where we're going. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. One of the tiers is specifically set up for Commander. For only $25, I will build you a custom Commander deck based around your specifications, and even do a deck video on it. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Bladewing Deathless Tyrant is a 7-mana, 6/6 legendary dragon skeleton with flying and haste. Whenever Bladewing Deathless Tyrant deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, for each creature in our graveyard, we create a 2/2 black zombie knight creature token with Menace. Now, I mentioned that this was a budget deck. I wanted to keep the list under $100. Additionally, we're a Graveyard Matters deck. We want to fill our graveyard with creatures so that Bladewing creates as many zombie knight tokens as possible. Bladewing is also 7 mana, so we'll want to go hard on the ramp so we can cast him as needed. But before we get into our deck list, we should keep in mind our checklist. 50 mana sources, usually split between 37 lands and 13 pieces of ramp, 10 pieces of card advantage, 8 to 10 pieces of spot removal, 2 to 3 board wipes, 2 pieces of graveyard hate, and 1 sudden I win card. Most of our card advantage involves dumping cards into our graveyard. We've got Faithless Looting, Thrill of Possibility, Tormenting Voice, Wheel of Misfortune, Dark Deal, Magus of the Wheel, Seize the Spoils, Unexpected Windfall, Pirate's Pillage, and Big Score. For more traditional card advantage, we've got Village Rites, Deadly Dispute, Sign in Blood, and Siphon Mind. Now, the goal of this deck is to dump a lot of creatures into the graveyard, so we might as well have a backup plan to get them back. To help with that, we're running Bonecaller Cleric, Liliana Death's Majesty, Victimize, Dread Return, Summon Undead, Ever After, and Haunting Voyage. To help fill our graveyard, we're also running Dread Summons and Buried Alive. Anger is a great card to have in our graveyard and works well with a lot of our zombie tokens. Finally, Dying to Serve synergizes nicely with all of our looting effects. Now, the goal of this deck is to dump creatures in the graveyard. Whether or not they get reanimated is just a bonus. So we want creatures with good enter the battlefield triggers. To that end, we're running Plundering Barbarian, Plague Crafter, Ravenous Chupacabra, Shriek Maw, Noxious Gearhulk, and Meteor Golem. The rest of our interaction consists of a Braid, Feed the Swarm, Cleansing Wildfire, Rakdos Charm, Chaos Warp, Bedevil, Baleful Mastery, and the Eldest Reborn. Our board wipes consist of Nevinyrral's Disc and Blasphemous Act. For mana ramp, we're running Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, Fire Diamond, Charcoal Diamond, Rakdos Signet, Talisman of Indulgence, Mind Stone, Felwar Stone, and Worn Power Stone as mana rocks. Wayfarer's Bauble and Solemn Simulacrum to fetch us more lands, as well as a Dark Ritual, Songs of the Damned, Seething Song, and Mana Geyser as rituals. Our lands consist of Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Luxury Suite, Graven Cairns, Tainted Peak, Dragonskull Summit, Sulphurous Mire, Smoldering Marsh, Temple of Malice, Drossforge Bridge, Rakdos Guildgate, Bloodfell Caves, Geothermal Bog, Bajuka Bog for Graveyard Hate, Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse for color fixing, 13 Swamps, and 7 Mountains. Finally, some zombie support. We're looking at making a bunch of zombies in this deck, so I wanted to have some lords. We've got a Death Baron, Cemetery Reaper, and Liliana's Mastery. To make more zombies, we're running Endless Ranks of the Dead, Wand of Orcus, Bone Miser, and Josu Ves Lich Knight. Now that our deck list is complete, let's compare it to our checklist. 51 mana sources split between 36 lands and 15 pieces of ramp. A little high, but we've got a 7 mana commander, so that's fine. 14 pieces of card advantage. Again, a little high, but we're trying to fill our graveyard, so that's fine. 14 pieces of spot removal. 2 board wipes. 2 pieces of graveyard hate. No sudden I win cards, but lots of value and lots of paths to victory. Our deck isn't oppressive to play against, but it can win easily. We can use our rituals to cast a giant dread summons and suddenly have a board full of zombies. Or we can slowly fill our graveyard, searching for the cards we want, and then every time Bladewing attacks, we force our opponents to have board wipes. If they don't, we'll overwhelm them the next turn with an army of zombie knights. Now, you'll note that there are a lot of ways to destroy cards like Leyline of the Void or Rest in Peace. In fact, one of our board wipes is in the deck simply because it can take out both of them at the same time. If either of those cards hit the table, there's nothing we can do about it. We'll just have to rebuild our graveyard. But we do have lots of ways to remove them if they do hit the battlefield. You may be tempted to use that Feed the Swarm on something like a Smothering Tithe, but try to save it for a Rest in Peace. As far as upgrades go, there are a lot of options. Terror of the Peaks works great in any deck that slams a bunch of creatures out every turn. Field of the Dead is also an awesome upgrade, but in any 2-color deck, I recommend splitting your basics into half snow-covered and half regular to help Field trigger faster. Speaking of lands, both Blood Crypt and Haunted Ridge were out of our price range, as was Chromatic Lantern. Toxic Deluge is an awesome board wipe, as is the Meathook Massacre. Lord of the Dead and Undead Warchief are both awesome lords and should be looked at. Liliana Dreadhorde General is awesome in a deck like this, but just a bit out of our budget. Reanimate and Shieldred Whispering One should also be considered in any graveyard deck. Are you building Bladewing Deathless Tyrant? What theme are you going with? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, there's a link to her Fiverr page below. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons: Jiraiya, Waffles, Muffins, Casey, Danny, Nick, Marcus, Black Dragon, and Phoenix of Ice. You guys are awesome. I post new Commander deck videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Also, if you're a fan of anime and manga like I am, feel free to check out my other channel, Musings by Danon. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Commander by Danon.